Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It feels like it has been ages since I sat down and filmed a long form video. I think it's been, what, like 2 months? Which is crazy. Obviously, I've made YouTube shorts in the meantime, but it's been ages since I actually sat down and talked to you guys through a makeup look. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I created this spring makeup look with this nice purple eye, glossy lip. I feel like this is the perfect look for the spring, so I'm going to be showing you guys how I created this. I'm going to be bold and say that this is going to be beginner friendly. Throughout the makeup look, I give you guys tips on how you can kind of, I guess, adjust it to be more beginner friendly and stuff like that. And I do feel like it is a relatively simple makeup look. I've kept most of the products at a lower price range as well to make it easier for beginners. There's only one product I couldn't find a cheaper alternative for. But yes, I'm going to be bold and say that this is a beginner friendly makeup look. So even if you are newer to makeup, feel free to attempt this look. I would love to know how you found it and if I do explain things well enough and easy enough for you to understand. As always, disclaimer before we get started, I am not a makeup expert, I'm not a professional, I'm not a makeup artist. I'm just a girl who is creative and loves makeup, but I try and explain things as best I can so that if you do want to follow along to any of my videos, you can do so. And now, with all of that said, I'm going to get on into how I created this makeup look. I keep hearing buzzing and I don't know where it is. There's no windows open or anything, so I don't know where the buzzing is coming from, but it's really loud. Okay, if it looks like I've just washed makeup off, that is because that is exactly what just happened. Basically, I just filmed this once and then the lighting got perfect towards the end and got like way better. So I went and washed my makeup off and we're doing this again. The commitment, honestly. So first I'm starting with lip balm because I need lip balm on, goodness. So first I'm starting with primer. I'm just starting with the e.l.f. Liquid Poreless Putty Primer. I love this. This is my go-to primer. I used to love the e.l.f. Poreless Putty in the jar, but I would always have to kind of scoop it with my nails since I have long nails. So it was always kind of a faff, to be honest. So I was very glad when they made it into a liquid version. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of that on the back of my hand. I'm then going to dot that all over my face. And just rub that in with my hands to create the perfect base for my foundation and the rest of my makeup. I will admit, I'm not someone who really notices if primers or like pays attention to if primers keep my foundation on for longer or anything, or my makeup on for longer. I go by how they make my skin feel before I apply my makeup. So for example, this gives like a really nice smooth base for me to then apply my makeup onto, if that makes sense. Now moving on to foundation. So I'm using the 17 Second Skin Enhancing Foundation. This is literally £5, but it is so good. It's a light to medium coverage, which I love. It's very buildable. It blends really, really well. I just overall love this foundation. I'm going to pop that on the back of my hand. Yeah, it's super inexpensive. I absolutely love it. And then I'm going to take the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge and just dot that all over my face, ready to blend it out. A little tip though, if you are not great at foundation or more of a beginner, take a foundation brush first. This is the Brushworks one. And apply it all over your face with a brush. Then simply go over it with a sponge to blend out any lines or anything. That's also just a good tip if you want to do your foundation faster. I used to do it when I was in a rush. But yes, that's just a little tip if you either don't like doing your foundation with just a sponge, you're not very good at it, you're more of a beginner, or you just want to do it faster. But anyway, I'm taking the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. I'm just going to dot that all over my face. And then I'm going to blend it out. So now I'm just going to start blending. Okay, just blending it out all over my face. Blend, blend, blend. I apologise if the lighting's gone weird again. It was perfect. It's as if as soon as I put the mirror up, it changes. I don't know why. I've just remembered I do actually have a standing mirror that I could have put on a table, but I forgot. Oh wow. Blending that out. That feels like too much. Wipe a bit of that off. I think I put too much on that side. Try not to get it in my hair. I really should have put a headband on, I feel like. but whenever I move my head to do makeup, they then just fall off. Yeah, like I said, I love how buildable this foundation is as well. Like I said, it's a light to medium coverage, so you can kind of start out quite light and then see if you want to build it from there. And it's honestly one of my favourite foundations, and I've used so many foundations over the years. Like, I've used MAC foundation, I've used expensive foundation, I've used cheaper foundations, I've used just concealer at one point. And this is by far one of my favourites. Okay, so now I'm going to take the foundation down my neck. I'm just taking the Brushworks foundation brush, and I'm just going to blend that out down my neck. Just even everything out. And then I like to take the same sponge as before and just go over that, get out any lines or anything. And now we're on to concealer. So for the concealer, I'm taking the matching concealer, which is the 17 Second Skin Enhancing Concealer. This is £2.50, but it is such a good concealer. I would definitely recommend. And again, I've used more expensive concealers than this, and I absolutely love it. And I'm just gonna pop that under my eyes, on my lid, to kind of blend out and create a base for my eyeshadow and everything. And then I like to take mine around my nose a bit, as my foundation doesn't really stick on my nose very well and on my nose. And then just anywhere else where I feel like I need it. So any spots or anything like that. I do feel like concealer does come down to preference in a way, and where you feel like you want to kind of add in a bit of extra coverage. So for me, like I said, that's under my eyes, around my nose, and just anywhere else I feel like needs a little bit of extra coverage. But of course that could be different for you. It's just about, I guess, seeing what works for you. And then I'm going to take the same sponge and just blend that out. You can use a brush for concealer if you would like, but I've never really done that. I've always found a sponge easy enough for concealer. So I'm just blending that out with my sponge. I have come to realise though, for some unknown reason, foundation and concealer just don't sit well on my nose. Like, they kind of just don't stick. So, oh well. It is what it is. Okay, concealer is done, so now on to powder. So for me, I'm taking the Revolution Translucent Baking Powder. Yes, this is a loose powder. If you are a beginner or just not confident with loose powder, I would recommend using a pressed powder. This is an old one I have. It's the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder, which was my go-to for so many years. And so then obviously with the pressed powder, you would just take your brush and kind of swirl it in there and pop it on your face. But one thing I will say is I've definitely found loose powder easier than I thought I would. I don't do any crazy techniques like baking or anything. I just simply dust it all over my face. But I've definitely found it a lot easier than I thought it would be. So if you're willing to give it a go, I'd recommend giving it a go. It seems to set my makeup faster as well with less powder. Like, I got this last year, I don't remember when, and I still have loads left. So I'm just going to take my Real Techniques powder brush, and I just take the loose powder in a lid like that, and then I just it all over my face. Like I said, this definitely seems to set my makeup a lot faster than a pressed powder did. But obviously if you are more of a beginner, or you're just not confident with loose powder, or I don't know, even if you just don't like it, you can use pressed powder. And again, I like to pop my powder all over my face, but I know some people like to just powder under their eyes, or like their forehead, T-zone kind of area, or like oilier areas. It's really up to you, but I just have always preferred setting my entire makeup. I like to know that all of my makeup ain't going nowhere. One thing though is I will not wear the outfit I am going out in if I'm going out when I'm... How did that happen? When I'm doing my makeup, because this powder gets everywhere. Like, the only downside to loose powder is it is so messy. Like, it's all over my shoulder right now. Like, what? But anyway, powder is done. Sometimes I will go in with a blush brush and just take a little bit of extra powder around the eyes if you feel like you haven't set the eyes well enough. You can do that with loose powder or the pressed powder, to be honest. Okay, so now moving on to bronzer. So I will say this is the one item in this look that is higher in price, as this is the only bronzer I've really ever used and I don't have a cheaper alternative for it. If you do have a cheaper alternative to this bronzer, or you know of a good cheap bronzer, then do drop it in the comments to help anyone out watching this video. And me, honestly, you'd be helping me too. But yeah, I'm going to be using the Benefit Hoola bronzer. Unfortunately, like I said, I've never found a cheap bronzer that I like. I know that W7 do the Honolulu bronzer, which I think is supposed to be a dupe for this, but I've never tried it, to be honest. Maybe I should. Maybe I should try it. So unfortunately, this is the one item in this makeup look that is not inexpensive. So hopefully one of you guys watching this can provide an inexpensive alternative in the comments for anyone looking for one, or for me, as every cheap bronzer I've ever swatched or tried looks orange on me, unfortunately. But if you do have the budget for the Benefit Hoola bronzer, I would recommend. And I'm just going to take my Real Techniques Expert Face Brush and just dip into there. Now, bronzer I do find slightly difficult to explain to somebody else, so I will try my best. But for me personally, I learned how to do bronzer just by watching other people. But I'm basically going to take this just under here, kind of like between the jawline and the cheekbone, like that gap in between, just partly under there, and then I'm going to take it around past my temple and onto just slightly my forehead. There is a trick you can use though if you are new to bronzer, where you do a 3, so you'll start kind of up here and go down like that in a 3. That gets the jawline as well. I like to do my jawline separately. But yeah, so I'm just going to do that. Just pop on a bit of bronzer. I've got powder in my eyebrow. There we go. But like I said, unfortunately I'm really bad at describing how to do bronzer, because I literally just learned from watching my favourite YouTubers do it. Just bronze up the face a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to take it down my jawline and neck just to even everything out. So for that, I'm just using my Real Techniques powder brush, and I'm just going to take it along the jawline and down the neck. So that is bronzer done. Next is blush. So for the blush, I'm taking the L'Oreal Blush of Paradise blush. I feel like this is the perfect spring blush. This is in the shade Life's a Peach. It's just this stunning, nice, peachy shade. It does have a little bit of a shimmer to it, which I really like. And the best part about this, if you are more on the beginner side, is I feel like you can't really go wrong with this blush. It's super buildable. It doesn't start out crazy pigmented. It's quite a subtle, peachy blush. So I'm just going to take my Real Techniques blush brush and dip into there. I know there are newer techniques for doing blush nowadays, but I like to stick to the good old smile technique. So I'm just going to smile and pop it from the apples of my cheeks upwards for a nice pop of blush. I did use a different blush when I first created this look, but it was more expensive and a little bit of a darker blush. I actually really like this one, because I feel like this is just perfect for spring. It has a little shimmer to it. It's quite a soft blush. It's nice and peachy. So yeah, I'm just going to pop that on there. Blush done. Like I said, I like how subtle it is. It's not like too intense. And so I feel like it's also, I'm just going to add a little bit more. And so I feel like it's also good for beginners because it's not starting out too intense or anything. Next up is highlighter. So I'm just using the e.l.f. Metallic Flare Highlighter. This is in the shade White Gold. This is my favourite highlighter. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to be taking the Kylie Cosmetics Large Angled Blending Brush. And I'm just going to be using the tip of the angled part to apply this. I'm doing this because I like more of a pop of highlight on my cheekbones, and this brush gives more of a pop. But if you want a nice pop of highlight but a little bit more subtle, I would recommend going with a fan brush. This is the Spectrum A10 Small Fan Brush, as that just gives a little bit less of an intense pop, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna take the tip of that, swipe my brush in there, and pop it on my cheekbones. I mean, look at that pop. Wow, I love it. This highlighter is so good and so inexpensive. If you do want to learn more about highlighting, I do actually have a video on how to highlight where I go into all the different areas you can highlight and kind of how you can highlight them. I love this highlighter so much. So I will link that in the iCard in the description if you're interested. But yeah, that is highlighter done for now for me. I currently just highlight my cheekbones and the inner corner of my eye once I've done eye makeup. So that is that done. So now we're on to the eye makeup, which might be my favourite part of this makeup look. So for the eye makeup, it's super simple, one shade all over the lid, and that's it. And so for the eye makeup, I'm just taking the Revolution Reloaded Visionary palette. This is a stunning palette, I love it. I definitely need to try more of this. I haven't tried a ton of the shades in here yet. I can never open them, there we go. This is just what those beautiful shades look like. And we're going to be taking this shade right here, this beautiful shimmery lilac shade. And you could use a brush to apply this if you would like, if you prefer to use a brush. If you want more colour payoff, you can wet your brush with some setting spray. However, I've come to find when it comes to shimmery eyeshadows, I prefer to just apply them with my finger. It's so much simpler, you keep the colour payoff, and it's just easy. It's just kind of like swipe it on and be done. So I'm going to do that. I almost went into the wrong shade there. I'm just going to swipe my finger in there and pop it all over my lid like so. Trying to still keep it as neat as possible. But I just feel like this way you keep the shimmer of the shadow, you keep the colour payoff of the shadow. Whereas sometimes with a brush you can kind of lose that. Like I said, you can wet the brush though, but I feel like why overcomplicate things when you can just use your finger? Pop that on the other side. I'm honestly obsessed with this shade. I actually created this look on Easter Sunday. I just felt inspired. And I finally felt creative for the first time in ages with makeup. And then I figured why not film this as a spring makeup look, since I usually do pink makeup looks. And this kind of takes a different approach. Now, you could just leave the eyeshadow like this, or you can dip back into that shade just slightly with a fluffy brush. This is the Kylie Cosmetics Medium Blending Brush. And just go over the edges a little bit if you would like. I wouldn't go over the whole eyeshadow with a brush though, just because then you start to lose a bit of colour payoff. I am going to apply just a little bit more as I feel like I haven't got it as pigmented as I want it. I really would recommend Revolution if you're looking for good, inexpensive eyeshadows. Their eyeshadows are like really pigmented and really good eyeshadows, but at such a good price. Like, I love a good Revolution palette. Okay, I'm just going to take my brush, just soften up the edges, clean it up a little bit. The only time I would really go over it with the fluffy brush, like all together, like all of the eyeshadow, would be if this is maybe a little bit too intense for you. Just to soften it up a little bit. But yeah, so now moving on to inner corner highlight for the eyes. So I'm using another Revolution palette. I'm just taking the Revolution X Roxy Cherry Blossom palette. This is one of my favourite Revolution palettes. It has so many perfect shades for spring. And I'm just going to be taking this shade right here. I can't remember the name of it. It is Glow. It's kind of like an icy white shimmer. And I'm just going to take that on my little finger. Again, personally, I think that shimmers just apply better with your finger. You could use a small brush or a flat brush though, just to pop it on the inner corner. Just any brush that's going to get into this area here, like the inner corner tear duct area. But I'm just going to use my finger because it's easier and I feel like I can get more precise in there. So I'm just using my little finger in that shade. And then I'm just going to pop it just on the inner corner tear duct area for a little pop of highlight. I feel like the icy white just goes perfect with like the lilac-y shimmery purple. Okay, so there we have a nice pop of highlight to the inner corner. Now moving on to brows. I don't do anything really with my brows. I just pop some brow gel through them, some clear gel, and that's it. So I'm just taking the Revolution Brow Glue, and I'm just going to simply brush that through my brows, following the shape of my brows. Nothing crazy, no crazy techniques over here. I just like to keep it pretty simple. You can fill them in if you would like to, but I just find it easier not to. Especially if you're just starting out, I feel like it's easier to just stick to brow gel to begin with. Keep hearing buzzing, oh my gosh. But yeah, so I'm just going to take that and just simply brush it through my brows, following the natural shape of my brows. If you did want to fill in your brows first though, you can take an eyeshadow that looks like the shade of your brows and use an angled brush to do that. But I really don't feel like I'm the person to give you advice on filling in your brows when I'm someone who's never really done it. I feel like I used to a while ago, but that was years ago. I just like to stick to a good old brow gel and be done with it. So unfortunately I can't give you much advice on that one. As I said in the beginning, not an expert. So yeah, I just think it's easier to just stick to brow gel. It's easy, it's quick, it sets them in place. What more do you need? So now onto mascara. I'm just using the 17 High Rise mascara. I think this is like £4 or something, and it is such a good mascara. I absolutely love it. It's so good. And I'm just going to pop that on my top and bottom lashes. You don't have to do top and bottom if you don't want to. You can always just do the top if you prefer. I know some people like to do that. I personally prefer to have my top and my bottom lashes done. So that's what I'm going to do. I just realised I actually forgot part of the eyeshadow. So I'm going to do that in a second once this has dried a little bit. But I've done the one eye. Do you see that difference? This is such a good mascara, honestly. It's so good. Like, it makes my lashes look so good. Now for the other side. I would really recommend 17 if you want like inexpensive but good products, as well as Revolution. I feel like they're the like brands I've used the most throughout this video, just because they're the brands, like the cheaper brands that I love the most. I did actually try this mascara for the first time in my last long form video, where I tried the 17 on Wednesdays We Wear Pink collection, which was super fun. Okay, bottom lashes. Ah, the faces you pull when doing mascara. Okay, lashes done. I'm going to give that a second to dry before I jump into the step I was supposed to do before it. So if you do follow along to this, on the odd chance that someone actually does follow this makeup tutorial, if you can even call it that, do this step before the mascara, okay? But yeah, I don't really bother curling my lashes or anything either. I've never really done that. I find that for me, I don't feel like I need to. If you want to, you can do that too, but yeah. I feel like I don't explain things very well. I'm so sorry. I feel like these tutorials are kind of a mess sometimes. But I try my best. I'm not an expert. I just try my best to explain what I'm doing for you guys so that if you do want to follow along, you can. But yeah, I absolutely adore this mascara. I mean, just look at that. My lashes look insane. And that's like £4. It's crazy. Okay, I'm going to do the step now that I missed before. So I'm going back into the Revolution X Roxy palette, and I'm going to take this shade right here, which is Vanilla, I think. And I'm going to take my Real Techniques base shadow brush. I have literally had this brush since like 2017, and it's still fluffy. It's still a great brush. Real Techniques brushes last so well. But yeah, I'm just going to dip into there, and I guess this is kind of like a matte brow highlight. So I'm just going to take that just underneath my brow. This is also really helpful if you've gone a little bit too high with the eyeshadow and need to kind of clean it up a little bit, as this kind of just softens up the edges. Okay, so now the eyes are complete, we are on to the lip. So I wanted to keep the lip quite simple for this look, as the eyes I feel like are the main focus of this look. And so I didn't want to do like a tinted lip or like a pink lip or anything like that, as I felt like maybe it wouldn't go the best with the purple eyeshadow. So I decided to just do a clear lip gloss. So I'm using the W7 Clear Gloss. I got this recently for like £2.50, and it's honestly so good. I'm someone who's really picky with lip glosses. I don't like when they're too tacky or too sticky. And this is perfect. It's a really good cheap lip gloss. I wear this all the time lately, even with my 3-minute makeup look. So yeah, I'm just gonna pop that on my lips to finish up the look with a nice glossy lip. The mysterious buzzing seems to have stopped, which is nice. So I'm just going to pop that all over my lips just for a nice glossy finish. I feel like you can't go wrong with a nice glossy lip in the spring. And like I said, I absolutely love this lip gloss. It's so good. and so inexpensive, which is great. Okay, lips done. So now I'm gonna set the whole look with some setting spray just to finish it off. So I'm just using the Revolution Glow Fix Illuminating Fixing Spray. I've lost the lid to this. It's probably in my makeup bag somewhere or something. And I'm just gonna spritz that all over my face. And then just dry that down a little bit. I feel like this setting spray just adds like a nice glow back into the look, which I really like. Okay, so here we have the finished spring makeup look. I feel like this is absolutely perfect for spring. I love that instead of going for like a pink makeup look this year, I managed to switch it up a little bit and do something a little bit different. And yeah, like I said, I just feel like it's the perfect spring makeup look. So I'm gonna come in a little bit closer to show you the finished look up close. Okay, so here we have the finished look up close. I'm super happy with how this turned out. I would love to know if any of you guys do recreate this makeup look. If you do, please feel free to tag me on Instagram. I'll have it up on the screen and linked in the description. I'd love to see if you do recreate this look for yourself. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully I explained things well enough. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I try my best. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up to let me know. And if you would like to watch one of my other spring makeup looks, then you can click right over here. I'll have one up on the screen. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye guys!